we've been taking some heat over the Deegans. So
Yeah.
what I want to say is hang tight, people. When we make these things, we know some stuff that we know because we talk to different people. We've got our sources. They've signed. It's a done deal. They're going to Yamaha. Yes, Brian Deegan's brilliant. He's going to come out. He's going to tell you guys, oh, yeah, we're going to pick a bike. It's on a KTM 250. Wait till September 1st. September 1st, usually, or September, it's either September 1st or October 1st.
Right.
If he's still on a KTM, then I will eat my words. That's it. So,
well, and for the listeners, when we talk about that September 1st, you got to remember that's a contract date. You see it every year.
what it might be October 1st too.
Could be, especially being an amateur contract. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm not worried about people saying, oh, I proved you were wrong. KTM is doing a great job. Deegans are doing a good job. Everything about his transition is KTM. It's going to stay orange. We get it. Again, nobody needs to like get all visceral and start throwing, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay. We've talked to people that are at the facility that he's going to. He's about to show up. There's transition. There's all kinds of things that are going on. Now I know the keyboard warriors are like, oh, well, just declare your resources. Well, that's an asinine comment because, people can get fired, people can lose their jobs, or I guess that's synonymous, but, people can get in trouble, and we're not here to get anybody in trouble. But what I will say is, how cool is it that, Deegan has such a moment, he can create momentum, positive, negative, depending on how you look at him or like him. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's great for the sport. I think his dad's doing a phenomenal job. Am I worried about they're like, oh, that Rob guy doesn't know what he's talking about? I'm not worried about that. I know he's going there. Everybody I've talked to knows he's going there. The one thing that I do want to clarify based on our last conversation is all I want the listeners to think about are the two scenarios. Number one, if he was truly defending that outside line because it is a championship race, I get it, but I question it considering it's the second moto of a 3-moto format. You're 5 to 10 seconds a lap faster. That doesn't make sense. And if it was retaliation because of a whip, well, that's what the keyboard warriors were saying. I just question both sides of it because at the end of the day, I was proven right because now he's one less championship along with the bonuses. And, a couple of the keyboard warriors said, oh, you're making a fuss. I could give two shits about it. I'm not making a fuss. I'm just questioning the behind. Why would you do that? So we'll leave it at that.
I would say even Brian says, why would you do that? And I imagine that's what he said to Hayden back at the truck. And that's why he fixed it.
Absolutely. But people are like, oh, Rob doesn't recognize it's a national championship. I do. I'm just asking, when you're 5 to 10 seconds faster than every other bike on the track, why would you waste time out there? And to your point, it was illustrated in the next one when he went around Janik 35 feet away from him, never looked at him, versus the moto before, he's looking around like a chicken with his neck broke. You saw a distinct difference in the way it was approached. But no, I have no jealousy. I have no visceral intent to. I love the Deegans.
That's what's funny is we're both fans of the Deegans.
Yes.
I've grown up in the orbit of Brian Deegan. I raced him in the 80s. Him and I he was a kid from Nebraska. He was that fast, mouthy kid from Nebraska. That's what he was known as.
Yep.
And I didn't realize he was going to become the icon that he's become, but he's always been pretty good, pretty aggressive. He's not afraid to saw off a front end, and his kid rides the same way. But they are so great for the sport. This sport is so lucky that they've chose to go this route instead of freestyle or something, because Hayden doesn't have to put himself through all this bullshit. They've got enough money.
I like what you said. I like the fact that Deegan created what Deegan has. He created something from nothing. Freestyle wasn't big. He made it big. He took another dynamic of freestyle with the spiky helmet and the spiky shoulder pads. And I loved what Deegan said in that swap moto video at Loretta's, when he said, look, if you don't think I'm doing the right thing, then you have your own kid and do what you want to do. You raise your own kid. And I was like, hell yes.
I love it.
I love Brian Deegan. I just think he's awesome. But for people to say that I have a vendetta against him, that's the stupidest thing you could have ever said. I think Deegans are unbelievable. Like you said, Deegan's just a blast to watch on the bike. He rips. The bike rips. He rips. He's fun to watch. Incredible flow. We talked about this off the record. He's going to do well on the 250 when it comes to the ability to ride it. Can he handle the get-offs and the unfortunate quick stops? I hope so. That would be one area of concern of mine on a bigger bike. But hey, Brian's going to, he'll take him over to whatever trainer he uses and make sure that he's strong and he's durable. Like you say, he's not just got to throw him to the wolves. That's for damn sure. Brilliant dude.
Yeah. So anyway, Deegans, we love him.
Keep it up.
And his style, he seems to have a style that I've noticed where he stands, much like Ken Roczen. How Ken Roczen at Unadilla was so good, coach. Like, it's not even fair. Even Dylan Ferrandis on the podium is just like, I was racing for second today. I just got nothing for him. Ken is the only guy that beats Ken today. He stands up into those ruts, and it's beautiful. I mean, yeah. What did you think there, coach?
I use this term every time we talk about him. It's just poetry in motion. And when you look at a landing of a jump and what was that 40, 50, 70, 75 yards of a 2-foot rut, I could not imagine landing and having to be full throttle because they're, and then up the face of the next jump, it's just a myriad of deep ruts all the way up the face of it. Unbelievable. And I agree with you. Ferrandis's comment said it all.
And
nobody's going to touch him today.
Yeah. And if you want to know how dangerous it is landing in those ruts, look at AP. That was, I know everyone in Wygant, I don't know why that would happen. I'm like, come on, dude. Listen, have you not paid attention? This is starting to happen more and more. If you see guys, I think it was Tomac out of a rut that looped out, Baggett when he looped out, Villapoto looped out. It happens. These bikes are getting faster and faster. And when you land, throttle on, in it, like what Aaron said, is he landed on a braking bump, bottomed it out. Your weight shifts back. You give it a little gas, and those things are rockets. No, not intentionally. But you get your weight off balance, and you're back, and just boom, and just you're doing a backflip before you even know it. I mean, it's like
it could have been so much worse.
Could have been. Yeah,
it's so much worse. What did he get? A bruised lung and a liver, I read.
Yeah, bruised lung, bruised liver. He had some bleeding out of his mouth. They took him to the hospital for observation, but no broken bones. He might even race next weekend.
Did he have a chest protector on?
I don't think so. I'd have to double check, but I don't think he wore one. I think he has a little under pad, but I don't think he has
under. Yeah, I just thank goodness he had that on, because I mean the amount. All you got to do is look at that. The exhaust pipes at a 90-degree angle, the seat's gone. I mean, think about the amount of, not that a pipe takes a whole lot to bend sideways, but just the amount of energy landing from that high at that speed, that velocity, and then just that happening so quick. It was, hate to say, it was like the perfect storm. You know what I mean? And thank goodness he got up. You saw the replay afterwards. I was thankful he just rolled over. I was like, well, thank gosh, because it looked like he was going to be flat out knocked out.
Those ones always scare me too, because when you go over towards your back and your tailbone, and when you land in your ass, straight through the spine, that's when bad things happen. I know I have a couple friends in chairs because of that.
Yeah,
hit, and it's just just not good. Yep.
No, exactly. No, thank goodness. It was definitely, it was a hard one to watch. But if we go back to Roczen winning it and making it look easy, I liked his aggression early on. He didn't wait. If we're going to be talking about the red bikes, you have to give a props out to Sexton, going, 90 degrees sideways. And I feel bad for the asterisk guy, because he wasn't thinking Sexton was going back. You see Sexton kind of pull his arm back, like, I'm going. No. And then what'd you say he raced up to, like 13th 11th. Or something? 11th. I mean, it's just insane to me, because it wasn't like he rushed to get back on the bike. I mean, I don't know what the exact time was, but seemed like an eternity. And next thing you know, he's just going right up that order. I was like, damn. And I'm assuming he got the breath knocked out of him, because he kind of had that. He didn't look like he was hurt, but he looked like he was trying to catch his breath. And then to just regroup like that and be gone. Of course, he's got those long legs. Again, very, very smooth rider. That track was perfect for him. And I think that was one of the best showings we've seen of Honda so far this year.
Well, and with 2 laps to go, I checked the lap times like I do. He did the same lap time as Roczen, but he did it back in like 10th or whatever, or 12th.
Yeah,
and I was like, dang, he was the second or third fastest guy on the track at that time. That was a nasty crash too. If you want to know how bad it was, just go out in your car, go at about 55 miles an hour, and just step out. That's about what he did.
First grab the e-brake, then step out.
Yeah, grab the e-brake, way you get that velocity. Just jump off the side when it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be okay, but it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. And for him to get back up and regroup, and, for the listeners that follow us, and we thank all those that do, I had said last week, or the last race, looked like Kenny was showing a little bit of fatigue, and maybe he wouldn't come back. We had a good break. We saw Kenny on both cylinders. My hope is he can hold that the next 4 rounds, and we won't know until we're 2 more in. I mean, we can, like we said, almost every show together, is any of us, including our listeners, going to be surprised if Kenny continues to do well? Absolutely not. Can he manage that fatigue is a question we all want to know. You made a very good declaration. It's going to progressively get cooler and cooler as we head back west, and that will bode well for Kenny. If he rides like he did here, and we know that track is very European, Ferrandis did well, Kenny did well, Lawrence Brothers did well. It obviously, and Marvin on the podium for the first time all year, definitely lent itself towards it. But now we get back to that 4 weekends, 5 total, 4 more from right now. That's a lot of fatigue. We'll see how he does. I'd love to see him stamp it, because Honda, what is it, since 2004 with RC?
I don't know. It's been, I think so.
It's been a long time.
When you mentioned Marvin has had a really weird season. He's a guy who's battled for wins. He looked really good. But I mean, I hate to say that the field's deep, because we say that every year, but it truly is split seconds between first and 10th.
Yeah.
But I think Marvin's done. I honestly do. I think he hasn't signed that contract, because I don't think he's coming back next year, Coach.
Yeah. I heard that the last piece to fall was the gear deal. Just for the listeners, so they know, Marv has been wanting to go over to Gas. The big sticking point was his gear deal going to TLD. He'd have to give up his existing gear deal. And obviously the team has to offset that lost revenue. So that was kind of the sticking point. I did hear that he inked the gear deal and is going back to KTM.
Yeah, I wonder, but I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he just steps away, even though they signed contracts. So.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, he's done quite a bit. It's kind of like growing up underneath RC's era. You're the best second place guy that ever was. I mean, think about the guys that he's had to share the rig with there at KTM. Marv's a badass dude on a bike. He's got a great personality. Nobody says anything mean about him. They all love him to death, but he's going to, unfortunately, I mean, you look at that roster that he was always on the rig with. But I wouldn't rule him out completely yet. I give it a couple months here, and let's see. I think the gear deal, as crazy as that sounds, for the listener's sake, that could be $750,000 to $1 million a year deal. So that does play a role in it. And if you're going to stay with KTM, it's not a bad place to be. I mean, especially when we're in Supercross, they've got a couple of championships to their name in the last couple of years. So yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him stick around. It will be interesting to see if they do a 3-person team, because we haven't seen that since Ferrandis from Australia, John and Mental Blake here. So he had when they had the 250 program still under the umbrella, that was the last time you saw a 3-person team. And you're going, yeah, but Rob, they've got Voland in there now as a 3-person team, right? But we're talking 3 450 riders has never been done at KTM.